Hey yo guys, what's up? It's me, it's your boy once again. Wanted to do this video for a minute. Um, my thoughts on New Japan Pro Wrestling and also 2017 being the best year in New Japan Pro Wrestling ever. I don't want to say ever, but like being the best year. 2017 just being on fire for this promotion. Me personally, I've been a fan and have followed New Japan Pro Wrestling for nearly going on about 5 years now. And to me, out of my 5 years of watching, I would say that 2017 is the best year I've seen from this company. And within my 5 years of, going back and learning and knowing the history of New Japan, the company, one could even argue and say that 2017 is probably one of their most, not only one of their best, but also one of the most profitable year in the company's history since its inception. It all really starts really going back to Wrestle Kingdom 11 on January 4th. The main event between it was a solid pay-per-view. It was one of my favorite pay-per-views this year. But really, I think the main event between Kazuchi Okada and Kenny Omega, and just the phenomenal match that was, got everyone talking, got everyone not only just in tuned onto those two, but I think really got people to take a second look or take a second glance at New Japan Pro Wrestling, the company. Those guys tore the house down. 5-star classic match, one of the best matches I think anybody's ever seen recently. You go and you fast forward to Dominion. Dominion, solid pay-per-view. Some wrestling fans consider Dominion to be a better pay-per-view than Wrestling Kingdom was. I tend to agree with that. Others may say that, others I know have said Dominion was the best wrestling pay-per-view, period. That I can also, it's arguable, but I can also agree to that. I can see why people may have that, formulate that opinion as well. Again, headlining that pay-per-view, Kenny Omega and Okada, Part 2, tore the house down, shut it down for a second time. Again, not only shutting it down, but the rest of the matches underneath that card were solid as well, and in my opinion, were also number one contender candidates. From there, you go and you look at New Japan wanting to expand and reach out to their American audience and wanting to grab a new audience, and I want to say really, yeah, grab a new audience and reach out to the American audience. They had their G1 US special, I think in Long Beach, California, for 2 days. I was really sad about this due to the fact that I was on vacation in Los Angeles, California. Had I known that New Japan were going to have their special during the time that I was on vacation, during the days when I was on vacation in California, I would have bought tickets immediately. But I heard they sold out really quick. The venue, I think, was only held like maybe 2,500 people. But due to the success of that show, they're looking forward to doing it again next year in a bigger venue. But still, even that, them doing it here in America, their two-night tournament to crown their first ever United States champion, which we got in Kenny Omega, which was awesome. That show was fun and a lot of good, solid again, there were match of the year candidates coming out of that. Then we get to the actual G1 Climax, 27 from its 27th year. It's been going this year. And I can say out of the 5 years I've watched New Japan Pro Wrestling, this year has been my favorite G1 Climax. And I really loved last year's with Kenny Omega winning and everything. This year was to me, I would say this was my favorite G1 Climax and probably one of the best. I'm hearing from a lot of people who've, seen G1 Climax out of its 27 years. This tournament, this 19-week tournament, was absolutely tremendous. It was hard hitting. There were at least maybe 10 to 12 matches, in my opinion, that I think you could say were match of the year candidates. coming out of this 19 weeks tournaments. These guys were grueling. They were grueling it out. They were busting their butts, and it was all to get that guaranteed shot at Wrestle Kingdom the following year. It felt special. It felt authentic. It felt, you can feel the pain and the grind that these guys were going through, and was like going through a journey. Naito ended up winning the whole thing. This past weekend, we had two back-to-back phenomenal finals from the G1 Climax. You had Naito and Tanahashi, with Naito winning that. Kenny Omega and Okada, 3 they went for their third bout. Omega finally getting the W on his long-term rival Okada. And then you set it up for the finals for Naito and Omega. Naito getting it, making him winning his G1 series for the second time. Awesome storytelling. And it's just, I mean, New Japan has really they've been lit. They've been lit this entire year so far, and we only have 4 months left. And it's like, man, what else can these guys pull out of their hat? What other tricks do they have? And I'm eager to watch this product and see where they go for the next 4 years, because 2017 has just been on fire for them. New Japan has really been the best wrestling company, in my opinion, and 2017 is a prime example of, if you want an alternative from WWE, from anyone out there, give New Japan a try. Give it a try, give it a chance. If Japanese commentary isn't your thing, that's okay. You have guys like Kevin Kelly. I think Max Striker's done commentary too, as well as Jim Ross. So you have some familiar voices and good commentary, although it wasn't too good at the U.S. Special G1, but still. You have some solid English commentary for New Japan. One of the things I really, really love about New Japan, and I think the appeal for New Japan, at least for me as a fan of the product, I may have mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again, is that New Japan Pro Wrestling has a feeling of authentic sportsmanship. WWE is sports entertainment. Vince McMahon is adamant on being sports entertainment. He wants nothing to do with professional wrestling. It's like Stone Cold Steve Austin says, it doesn't matter what you name it or what you call it. You have two men in black trunks surrounded in by a 2x4 squared circle. It's wrestling. I know Vince likes to get away from that and likes to ignore that. And you clearly see that within the product a lot of times, but you really don't get that with New Japan. New Japan, I've always categorized it as the MMA of professional wrestling. And what I mean by the MMA of professional wrestling is, like I said, you get a feeling of realism and authentication and sportsmanship with New Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling treats their product, their sport, like it's on par with like football or basketball or any other type of, legitimate sport. They promote it as such. They treat it like a big deal. And I think that when you do that, it gives it makes the product more enjoyable, because yes, it's predetermined and it is scripted, just like any other wrestling company out there. But it's nice to kind of have a product where they don't insult your intelligence, and even though it's predetermined, you still get a sense of realism. So it still sets a sense of disbelief where you don't know who's going to win or where it's going to go, kind of like thing. And I think that's the charm that New Japan Pro Wrestling, they found their niche, and that's what they've been sticking with it. Same goes for Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has done this for years. And I think, the partnership between ROH and New Japan Pro Wrestling that they've been having over this last couple of years have been beneficial to both companies. I think if you were to make a list and say, hey, who has the most prestigious titles in professional wrestling, in my opinion, New Japan is the first one that comes to mind. Again, having that feeling of legitimacy that's within the setting of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Their belts even feel special. Their championships feel like a big deal. it feels like a big deal when someone finally wins the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. All their titles feel like they're important and that they have a meaning. It doesn't feel like how WWE is, where the only belt that matters is the WWE Championship, but all the other belts that fall underneath it is just kind of like, eh. You don't get that with New Japan. With New Japan, all the belts feel special, all of them feel important. Granted, yes, the heavyweight title is in a different stratosphere compared to the other titles because not many people win. Fewer people have won the IWGP heavyweight title than the WWE championship, and that's just how prestigious and selective the champions have been. In winning that title. So winning that, really, you really get a feeling that this person is the best, not only in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but like the best wrestler in the world when they win that championship. So I really, I wouldn't say sympathize, but I really can agree with Kenny Omega when he says that the IWGP Heavyweight Championship is the most important World Heavyweight title in all professional wrestling. Even Hulk Hogan. I saw a video years ago when Hulk Hogan did wrestled a match in Japan against the IWGP Heavyweight Champion at that time. Can't think of his name right now. There was Hulk Hogan had a press conference, and Hulk Hogan had the WWF Championship, and he took it and he like flinged it. He's like, "This right here, this is a prop," and like dropped it on the table. He's like, "This is a prop." He was like, "The real world title is the New Japan Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight title." And I'm just like, if Hulk Hogan said this back in the '80s, I mean, Hogan is the man. Hogan is the guy that made what professional wrestling is today and Western culture. He made it mainstream. For him to say that this belt is a prop, a real championship is the IWGP World Heavyweight title, that says something. That says something. And not even just the heavyweight titles, but their middleweight belts as well feel important, feel special. It feels like a big deal when someone wins the junior heavyweight title or the tag team titles or junior tag titles, the intercontinental title. And hopefully Kenny Omega will, not hopefully, but I know Kenny Omega will add prestige to the U.S. title that they've just made this year. Going beyond that, you're looking at New Japan, the Bullet Club, having their shirts being sold at Hot Topic. I think it was just a week ago. Cody Rhodes tweeted the top 3 selling T-shirts at Hot Topic, and number 2, I forgot what number 1 was, but the number 2 and 3 spots were the Young Bucks Bullet Club shirts. And they've been selling like hotcakes. So much so that instead of Bullet Club shirts being sold at select Hot Topics, they're being sold at all Hot Topics now. So that's just absolutely amazing. Again, New Japan making their marks, making their ways. I'm trying to think really quickly what else. They've just been on fire this year. New Japan Pro Wrestling has really been on fire, and I just hope that they can maintain and keep that momentum going for the duration for the remainder of this year, going into next year. And I think another thing I think too, Kenny Omega and Kazuchi Okada, their set trilogy of matches have been absolutely amazing. Dave Meltzer have put their match above and beyond Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair's set trilogy of matches. And that's a pretty big deal. But I agree. Each of their matches were different. They were special. It told a story. To me, Omega versus Okada, they have cemented their legacy, in my opinion, in professional wrestling. And their set trilogy of matches speaks not only to the performers, but I think it speaks to New Japan, the company. I think by them having such amazing set trilogy of matches, and each match being different and telling a different story, I think it not only adds to, like I said, their personal careers, but it adds to the legitimacy, I feel, of the overall company and overall product of New Japan. So it's a win-win for both sides, both the company and the men involved. You guys let me know what you think. about my thoughts and opinions on this. Do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Do you agree or disagree that 2017 is one of their best years, if not the best year ever? What do you look forward to for the remainder of the year in New Japan and going into the next year in Wrestle Kingdom? I want to hear your thoughts in the box below. Do yourself a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. Peace.